Welcome back to the 240SX project where we are going to install the turbo and the intake. So being that I'm using a factory GTE intake manifold, I wanted to dive into the DODO products and bought their lower intake manifold runners to mount the factory TT upper manifold. The fit and finish on this is incredible, and it's a great bargain for the price you pay for. Honestly, I think they're underselling themselves. Get them while they're still reasonably priced. I also bought the Low Pro rail with the Low Pro Teachwork injectors. I believe I went with the 1000cc or 900cc. Had to double check, can't remember. But anyways, CNC aluminum rail comes with all of the gaskets, all of the fittings for a Dash 6 or Dash 8 setup. And went ahead and inspected the injectors as well. Everything came as advertised, and you also get some of the pigtails you want to order with it. But yeah, again, incredibly impressed with the quality and the fit and the machining of everything that came with this package. So this is about how it'll look as it goes on the intake manifold. And everything fit like factory. Use a factory gasket here, and it's very clean. I had no problems getting this thing on. Just make sure you follow the factory service manual as far as the torque specs as well as the torque sequence. And mounting the TT upper manifold also was no feat whatsoever. Bolted on like stock, used all of the old hardware. There was no modifying of anything with the exception of the manifold stay bracket. Now this bracket was off of the original GE setup. I used a factory bolt here, but as you got to the bottom, you had to cut about a half-inch wide metal tube here to make the bracket here meet with the block and not have it sit awkwardly. But I was able to torque everything to factory. The dipstick here, I'm going to find a better way to mount this, but for now it's just zip tied just as a mock-up so I get an idea as far as where everything is going to fit when it's all said and done. When we're building a VVTi cylinder head, you want to replace the screen filter that goes into the banjo bolt. It's dirt cheap and it's really good insurance to make sure you protect your newly rebuilt cylinder head. So the fat end of the screen there will attach into the end of the banjo bolt, and then you will screw it in by hand. And once you've got it flush against the head, you can go ahead and torque it down to spec. So it starts getting a little more exciting once you're able to mount your turbo and other turbo associated parts, such as the wastegate. Wastegate here, I put in 2 springs to go ahead and put myself at 21 pounds of boost, and then mount it to the flange here on the manifold, and we can call it good on the wastegate. One of the things that people don't realize is that the GE and GTE cylinder heads have a lot of interchangeable components, one being the coil packs. So we are going to be using a non-VVTi TT coil pack setup on this GE VVTi cylinder head. You're going to have to notch out the bracket here as shown so you can make clearance over the VVTi GTE valve covers. Once you've done that notching, you're going to go ahead and fit it in there. But what we'll find out when we try and mount the coil pack is that the ear on the valve cover will impede mounting of it. So you're going to have to notch out that end of the valve cover as well. The metal in the valve covers is very, very soft, so you want to grind down bit by bit slowly and keep fitting your coil pack bracket as well as your coil packs until it fits. Once it fits, stop grinding, go ahead and torque everything down, and then you will be set with a full non-VVTi GTE coil pack setup. Then put on your coil pack covers, make sure that it can bolt down properly. Because this is a GE motor, there is no oil feed for a turbo, so you're going to have to make one. You'll take the VVTi union bolt and tap it out to 1/8 NPT, buy a 3-way fitting from Lowe's, and you can screw it in there. And then at this point, you can mount a oil feed as well as an oil pressure sensor. You can feed the oil feed line over the valve cover as I done. It doesn't really bother me. I actually had the same thing done on my Supra as shown here. In more of an effort to ensure we control underhood temps on the 240SX, which historically these swaps do have a problem with, you want to get a turbo blanket to go ahead and mount over your turbo and try and keep the heat down within the engine bay. This was a cheap $40 eBay one. Haven't had any issues with these in the past. I went ahead and ordered another one, slapped it on the turbo, made sure everything fit right, and it looks pretty good as it sits in there, and it's going to look great in the engine bay once everything's in. Last piece here was the OEM crank damper. I ordered a new factory one because my power goal is 600 horsepower max. For the most part, we'd be cruising around 500 horsepower, so I really did feel the need to buy a really expensive ATI. Brand new factory Toyota part, should work well, and actually looks great here. Tune in the next video as we pull out the KA24DE from the 240SX.